I could, one thing might add, it was might be kind of interesting. There was a movie shot up here when my dad had his restaurant.
Uh-huh.
And it was out on Rising Rivers where they shot the movie.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and he had a concession with the movie outfit to like take, had a break time in the morning. He'd take pastries and coffee and all kinds of stuff out there, you know, for the people that worked, the crew and all that stuff. They did that. This went on, I think, they were up here for probably a couple of weeks.
Do you remember what year that was?
I'm gonna say about 1950, either 49 or 50.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And do you remember who was in the movie?
Well, the only
because
one,
Bing Crosby lived out there at
yeah,
that
he
time.
lived out. Yeah, he had.
And I'm wondering if he had a connection with them coming up.
Actually, he didn't have.
He didn't.
Crosby wasn't here at that time.
Oh, okay.
He came later, a little later on.
Oh, okay.
He bought the ranch that he had there from some other people. But the only one that I remember for sure, there was.
Do you remember the Martins? Jack and Beulah Martin and Jimmy McDonald? Because it was Jimmy McDonald that had the ranch that sold it to the Crosbys.
Okay.
That was my uncle.
Oh, it was, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I know the name. I know the name, but I don't think I knew them.
Well, Beulah Martin, and she might have been a McDonald. I was a little kid, so I'm a little hazy on all this stuff. But, and then she married Jack.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack was like quite a character. And they had what is now Clint Eastwood's ranch.
Mm-hmm.
But I think originally they had a bigger ranch, and they gave half of it to their son Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jimmy sold it to Bing Crosby.
Mm-hmm.
And then Beulah still lived on the other one, and then Beulah Martin, and then when she passed away, then Clint Eastwood acquired it. And I'm not sure if he acquired both properties or just the one. I've been trying to figure this out, because I just remember when I was 6 years old, going out to the Rising River Ranch, and they flooded the lawn with 3 feet of water in June, and that was their watering for the whole summer. They just flooded the lawn, and so me and my cousins, we would go out there and swim in the lawn while my grandfather went inside with the Martins and had cocktails. And we all had a great afternoon.
I do recall Martins, the name. I don't know if I ever met them or not. But there's Kearns is another people that have property out there too. They've been there for years too. But anyway, in that movie, the only person that I can remember for sure was Tommy Ival.
Tommy Ival.
Ival, yeah, he was a boy.
Do you remember the name of the movie?
Treasure of Lost Canyon, I think that's what it was.
Oh, okay, The Treasure of Lost Canyon. We'll have to look that up.
I think Ida Lupino was in it.
Ida Lupino.
I think she was in it, and then I think William Powell.
Wow.
I think. I'm not positive.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that's fascinating, and I never knew that. You know, I've heard they talk about how they made a movie there. What's the name of that movie, Linda? The one where the bridge over Lake
Stand By Me.
Stand By Me in the 80s. You hear about that. And you hear rumors that Johnny Weissmuller came up here and dove off of Burney Falls sometime during his heyday. Wow. But I don't know whether that's confirmed or not. You know, they say that he went up, climbed up, did the trail, went up to the top of the falls and dived down into the pool. I don't know if that's true or not. But I had never heard of this, the Treasure of Lost Canyon. So that is a valuable piece of information.
In fact, you could probably go back now, like our son, he digs around and stuff like that. He could probably bring that up right now and tell you who was actually in it.
Okay, well, I can look it up too.
Yeah.
If I find it, then I'll find it on Wikipedia. I'll put a link to it there.
Okay, great. Part of the movie, was shot at Burney Falls too. And they had,
Oh,
they had
okay.
that in it too, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up and
Yeah.
see. Maybe we can find it on classic
Yeah.
Turner movies and watch it and see Burney Falls in there.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So,
I've never, I think one time I saw it on a TV, but it's been many, many years
Uh-huh.
ago. But I never did see it when it came out in the movies, but I did see it later on.
well, that's pretty neat that they were working on that,
Yeah.
and then that your dad was catering for them.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever work with him to go out there?
I
to
took it. I went out one time with all the stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
One morning I took a load out there. Yeah.
That's pretty. That must have been pretty exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. Yeah.
Well, Kathy, you lived here in the 1960s. Is there anything that you would like to add
1966,
about?
67, yes.
Yeah, about your experience living here in Burney in the 1960s
I learned how to be self-sufficient.
after living in Southern California
After
with a
living
big
in-
family.
With family, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you
I-
feel it was a good place to raise a child?
Yes, I did. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's why we came back, was because I did enjoy
Uh-huh.
being here.
Because in 1968, you folks
Went
left
to
and
Seattle.
lived in Seattle,
Seattle area.
and then you retired,
Yes.
and then you spent a year doing mission work in Weaverville.
Right.
But with the intention that when you finished, you would come back to Burney.
Yes.
And so also, Paul mentioned, how he had seen between 1950 and 1966, the town still had the same flavor, but that there were changes that took place from 1966 till you moved back here.
Yes.
Did you see a change too? Like, when you came back to Burney, do you have a comparison to make between how it was then and how it is now?
Well, my experience in the mid-60s was, I learned that this is a small town and that you need to pretty much stay by yourself.
Really?
Yeah, not much, we don't associate too much outside of our church friends,
Uh-huh.
not because, but it's because it's because there's too much gossiping. There's real truth that isn't always spoken.
Too much gossiping in a small town. And even back in the 60s, it was that way.
Well, not as bad as it is now. But but I love the place. I really do. Yeah, I always have. I mean, I've always thought it was a beautiful place. I love the mountains and the trees,
Uh-huh.
and
Clean air.
I love. I have a brother that lives in Arizona, and he lives out with the weeds and the
Cacti.
out in the desert.
Uh-huh.
And he been there for years, so we're different
Right.
people, living in different kind of areas. But I enjoy it here. He enjoys it there, and but no, I enjoy Burney. Always have.
And what you mentioned about the church, like, that's an important thing, because through the years, since they got churches, which I believe the first church was the Presbyterian church there, which was...
I don't know, because there was churches before I came. I know they had an Assembly of God here.
Oh,
That
okay.
was before the Presbyterian.
Okay, so they had an Assembly of God.
Uh-huh.
And then the Catholic Church was built a little bit
Well,
after that.
I don't know when that came in, at the Catholic Church, yeah. I don't know for sure on that one.
Well, back in the 50s when I came, because my grandfather was involved in the Presbyterian Church, we went there. But then one summer he hired a German man named Bruno Schwegman to take care of us out on his ranch, down where the chicken house is. There was a little white house. And Bruno was from Germany, but he was a Catholic. So because he was taking care of us, then during that summer we went to the Catholic Church, which had just been recently built at that time. And that was from 55 to 61. And it was probably 59 or 60 that we were going to the Catholic Church. And
I didn't know, I didn't come here until February of 1960. That was my first experience coming to Burney, and it was in the winter, and it was snowy.
But that's
And
just one thing that I'm just kind of
Yeah.
throwing in, is that through the years and still, the local churches are, because there's not a lot of other activities, and so the local churches are pretty much the little hubs of the community. Is that accurate to say?
Mhm.
Yeah, I did, when I was here in 66, 67, when we were here, I was involved with bowling.
Oh,
And,
bowling.
yeah. A lot of bowling was going on, because they had just put that particular bowling alley in there. It hadn't been there that long.
Uh-huh.
You know, I don't know exactly when it was built.
But sometime in the mid-60s.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we got the Safeway.
And when did the Safeway come in? That same period of time when you were
That
here?
was 67.
Yeah,
Was
just
it
before we left, I think,
just-
or right after we left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was in before we left. It was in that winter, so it might have been 66 when they, late
Interesting.
66 when they put
We had
Safeway
3
in.
markets at that
Yeah.
time, 3 small markets here, and Safeway, when they came in, that was the end of the markets. So,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Do you remember what the markets were?
I do. There's one right there on Burney Creek where the glass shop is now. That was a Pioneer.
Okay, the Pioneer Market by
Yeah.
Burney Creek.
And up on the hill, as you're going out of town, on the left over there, there's a big building there.
Yes.
The bottom part of that was the red and white
Okay.
market. And I'm trying to think, I think the man's name was Davidson, Les Davidson, that owned that. And then the third one was right across from the shop, the auto shop, Mike's.
Yes.
That was Cliff's Market.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was the markets that were here.
So when you came here, there were 3 markets.
Yes.
The red and white, Cliffs, and the Pioneer.
I don't
And-
know. Yes.
And then the Safeway opened up.
Yes.
And that
That
sort of,
ended the markets.
All right.
It was hard on Burney when Safeway came in, because Burney was, a lot of people were able to, during the winter months when it was real tough, they could get credit at the little stores.
Oh.
And then when the spring came and they went back to work, then they would pay their bill off.
uh-huh.
That's just a little.
You've given me a lot of valuable tidbits of history here
Yeah.
for people, for people who watch this. There's a lot of, insight into things. So I'm really grateful to you.
You're
There's
welcome.
the difference now in the logging industry at that time when we lived here before is they didn't log in the wintertime.
Uh-huh.
They logged up until usually the first snow fell, usually sometime around the first part of October.
Uh-huh.
And then they closed everything down. It was closed down until spring. and everybody that drove a truck, of course, the mills continued to work, all winter. But if you drove a truck or if you worked in the woods, you drew unemployment.
Uh-huh.
And that's what, you lived on that.
Interesting, interesting.
But now, of course, they log, just about any time, as long as they can get in and get out where they need to go.
But for now, I'm gonna just say thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And
You're
this
welcome.
video will be up for posterity,
Good.
and for people today to see and get a little idea of, what Burney's been through the years.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
Okay.